Okay, let's unpack this. Many of us, we dream of truly experiencing a new culture, not just seeing the highlights or like checking off a list.
Right.
We crave something deeper, yeah. A genuine connection that goes beyond the usual tourist stuff. But what does that actually mean?
Mm-hmm.
And how do we even do it?
Hmm.
So today, we're diving deep into the art of authentic cultural immersion. We're looking at how to move past just sightseeing to really engage with the everyday life, the people, the living rhythm of a place.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating here, I think, is how our sources don't just suggest a different kind of tourism. They actually challenge the whole idea of what travel can be.
Okay.
They guide us towards connections that build real understanding, spark curiosity, and, as one article really emphasizes, can even drive significant educational growth.
Educational growth. Interesting.
Yeah, definitely. We've pulled together a really rich stack of stuff for this deep dive. Everything from Jonathan Ingalls' very practical 10 ways to experience a culture authentically
Ah, I saw that one.
to the really raw personal lessons from Joey Haddon's solo trip in Europe, and even a vibrant look at an Italy trip that had this surprising family history connection.
Oh, wow.
So our mission for you, our listener, is basically to give you a shortcut to being well-informed about authentic cultural immersion, arming you with practical tips, fascinating stories, and the real benefits of looking beyond that glossy travel brochure.
Okay, great. So let's kick this off with the big why. Why should we even bother, going beyond those postcard perfect views and the usual tourist trails?
Good question.
Jonathan Ingalls, in his piece, he offers this really powerful distinction. He points out that, ancient icons think the pyramids, the Colosseum, sure, they're impressive, historically important,
Absolutely awe-inspiring.
but they actually do very little to show us the modern, the messy, the malleable, everyday culture of a place now. You can stand in awe of some thousand-year-old monument, but it won't tell you how people live their lives today.
Exactly. It's static history versus living culture.
Right. Ingalls challenges us to look past that sort of frozen history, and seek out the living, breathing culture, the contradictions, the improvisations, the constant change that really defines a society. It's in those unplanned moments, the unexpected chats, where that messiness kind of reveals the true pulse of a place.
And if we connect that to the bigger picture, immersing yourself isn't just like a fun holiday activity. It's actually a profound growth opportunity. It actively rewires how you think.
Okay, how so?
Well, James Huey, in his article, How Exploring New Cultures Enhances Educational Growth, he details how this kind of exploration is a crucial part of educational growth in itself. It's not just about seeing new things, it's about pushing your mental boundaries, right? It forces you to break down assumptions, actively expand your worldview, and challenge those stereotypes we all carry around.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And Huey's article goes further. It explains how cultural immersion specifically builds empathy, because you're literally walking in unfamiliar shoes. It strengthens problem-solving skills because you have to adapt when you're out of your comfort zone.
Right, you have no choice sometimes.
Exactly. And it significantly boosts creativity. Think about how Japanese art didn't just influence Van Gogh, it fundamentally changed his whole perspective on composition, on color.
Oh, that's a great example.
Or how African rhythms didn't just spark jazz, they brought in these complex polyrhythms, call and response structures that totally transformed Western music. It's not just, superficial borrowing.
Yeah.
It's that deep intellectual friction, the fusion that happens when different worldviews genuinely collide.
That's a really powerful way to put it. So it's not just about feeling good, it's about active development, intellectual, emotional.
Precisely. And Huey actually uses a term for this, cultural intelligence, or CQ.
CQ.
Yeah. And it's not just about, being polite in another culture. It's a measurable set of skills, cognitive, motivational, behavioral. It lets you decode unwritten rules, kind of predict reactions, and genuinely adapt your approach, moving beyond just surface interactions to real engagement.
So it's like a skill you can actually build.
Exactly. An invaluable asset in our globalized world, right? Not just for personal growth, but for study, for work, helping you relate and collaborate effectively across different backgrounds. It's like a muscle you strengthen through these experiences.
Okay, I like that analogy. Building that CQ muscle.
That's it. Building a more nuanced, informed perspective that's useful way beyond your next trip.
All right. So the big question then isn't just why we should seek this immersion, but how. How do we actually do it? Our sources don't just talk theory. They give us tangible, practical strategies.
Yes, and what comes up again and again is a fundamental shift in how you approach travel itself. It starts with changing your pace.
Pace, right, slowing down.
Yeah, moving beyond that checklist mentality. Did Rome, did Paris next?
So if you only have a week, say, can you still get that authentic immersion, or does it require months?
No, absolutely you can. It's about how you spend that week. Engels argues for moving slowly, spending more time in one place rather than just, racing through a list.
Okay.
He says, imagine trying to sum up your entire hometown with just a dozen landmarks in 2 or 3 days. You'd miss everything. The everyday life, the small moments that actually define it.
True. You just get the highlights reel.
Exactly. Life, he suggests, happens while you're just sitting idly over breakfast at a normal cafe or going to the local supermarket, just watching.
Observing.
Yeah, slowing down to actually see.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And with slowing down, then comes the question of where you actually, set up camp. Right.
Yeah.
Where do you stay?
Right, and Joey Haddon, who wrote about her solo travel lessons from Europe, she kind of touches on this. She advises first-time solo travelers that staying right in the city makes exploring much easier. She contrasts commuting an hour and a half from Neustrelitz into Berlin versus staying right in the heart of Vienna. She felt she got a much better sense of Vienna's pulse, the real everyday life, by being central.
That makes sense. And Engels actually argues for renting an apartment, doesn't he, to really settle in?
He does. He says, nothing screams tourist like a hotel or hostel, but having your own keys to an apartment that says, my town.
Huh, yeah.
And he tells this brilliant story about Mommy, his Korean landlady. She was well past grandmother age and didn't really get the concept of personal space.
Oh, dear.
She had her own key and would just pop in whenever to give him some new perks she'd thought up, like a free bag of rice case or a new washing machine.
A washing machine?
Yeah, or even just for a chat while he's standing there in his underwear, totally bewildered.
Oh, my God. That's immersion, all right.
Exactly. That Mommy anecdote just perfectly captures that delightful, slightly awkward confusion of real immersion.
But I guess those moments, even if they're confusing at the time, they're probably the most revealing in the end.
Absolutely. It's those unexpected, slightly bizarre interactions that really define local life and start chipping away at your own assumptions.
Yeah.
And Joey Haddon kind of reinforces this indirectly when she talks about learning to navigate unfamiliar social cues. It's about letting go of your home country's expectations, embracing the unexpected.
Right. What about homestays? Are those an option too?
They are, definitely.
Yeah.
Though Engels personally preferred apartments because of his specific needs, like working from home. And he makes a good point about considering the hosts too. You want genuine interaction, but not discomfort for anyone. It's finding that balance.
Got it. Okay, so slow down, maybe rent an apartment.
Yeah.
What else? Our sources talk a lot about food.
Massively. Food is presented as this universal connector. And it's not just about eating, it's about understanding. Well, as Engels puts it, what people eat explains a great deal about a society. The landscape, the environment, the aesthetics, the rituals, as well as the general outlook on life. Think about it. A dish's ingredients tell you about its geography, maybe its economic history, how it's prepared, how it's served. That can show you social structures, values. Is it communal sharing, individual portions? Each detail tells a story.
That's fascinating. So forget the fancy restaurants.
Exactly. Head straight to the food market. Engels tells that lovely story about befriending a pickle lady in a Moscow market.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Every time he went, she'd give him samples of different pickled cabbages or peppers and then throw in extras for favorites when he paid. It's those tiny personal connections that really draw you in.
I love that. And he also mentions street stalls, right? Like hole in the walls.
Yes. As the best representation of local culture. He talks about push carts in Thailand selling 50-cent samplers. That's where you find the real deal, the unvarnished taste of a place.
And this ties into those culture shock stories too, doesn't it? People being surprised by food.
It does, beautifully. Many travelers mention just how good the food is in Europe, the quality, the taste of simple things like bread, pastries, even sandwiches at train stations.
Right.
Italy especially got rave reviews as the best. And our own Italy deep dive really showcased this. Remember the discussion about averaging 2 pizzas a day in Naples?
Yes, I do. Sounds like research.
It highlights the origin of Margherita Pizza, the world's first pizzeria, Antica Pizzeria, Port Alba, opened in Naples in 1830, still going strong. Food isn't just fuel there, it's woven deep into the cultural identity.
Okay, so you've tasted the local flavors. The next step, Ingalls says, is connecting with the people behind the food, behind the culture.
Crucial. He advises us to listen to locals. And he really emphasizes listening more than talking about your own life back home.
That could be hard.
They can. But he learned the deepest insights into Korean culture, things like the age respect system, table manners during these Saturday writing lessons he exchanged for lunch with his Korean colleagues.
So it was a trade.
Yeah. They took him places he'd never find, taught him the nuances just by sharing their lives, sharing a meal.
That's a great approach.
And Casey Bledsoe's article reinforces this too. She urges travelers to interact with locals and, importantly, attend local festivals and events.
Oh yeah, festivals.
The Italy Deep Dive had that amazing example of the Patron Saint Festival in Ursina. The whole village, even young people who had moved away, coming back for this parade with a skeleton hand relic of Saint Euthymia.
Wow, a skeleton hand.
Yeah. It sounds maybe a bit strange to us, but it reflects these centuries-old traditions that really bind the community together. It's not just a show for tourists.
Right, it's real life.
Exactly. And those bizarre culture shocks also revealed just how social people are in other countries. Random chats in Vietnam, families strolling in Italy, pub culture in England. Often visitors just get invited to join in. It feels like a much more open social fabric sometimes.
That's really cool. And what about just like getting around? Ingalls mentions public transport.
Yes. Public transportation. He says it's literally in the name, public.
Oh, yeah.
He tells that funny story about the sugar cube on the ferry in Istanbul. He politely refused it twice from this little old lady for his tea. Then someone else came over and just opened it for her. He realized his mistake, everyone had a good laugh, and he ended up making friends for the rest of the ride.
See? Sometimes messing up is the best way to connect.
Totally. Allowing yourself to be a bit vulnerable, even in small social blunders, can really open doors.
Okay, so we're slowing down, eating local, talking to people.
Yeah.
What about just exploring, moving around?
Don't forget your own 2 feet. Ingalls stresses walk and wander. That's how you find the quirky alleys, the unique shops, whole neighborhoods you'd miss otherwise.
Yeah, just getting lost sometimes.
Exactly. Our sources mention this about New York City, or just being willing to get lost, to stumble upon amazing markets or parks. It's in those in-between moments when you're not rushing from A to B that a place really reveals itself. It's about intentional aimlessness, maybe.
Intentional aimlessness, I like that. And it's not just cities, right? Ingalls encourages getting out into rural areas.
It's definitely. Get rural. He talks about villages like Huayua in El Salvador offering this incredible hospitality, richer traditions, and natural beauty. A very different vibe from the big cities.
And we saw that in the Italy deep dive, too, with Ursina, that whole rhythm of life.
Yeah, shops closing from 12:00 to 4:30 for a big lunch and a nap. Then kids playing, the older generation doing the passeggiata, that evening social stroll. It shows how smaller places often keep this unique cultural timing, a slower, more deliberate way of engaging with the day.
That pace.
Yeah.
It really makes you think about how much we push for efficiency back home.
Right.
What's the biggest, internal shift someone needs to embrace that slower rhythm?
Good question. I think it's fundamentally shifting from doing to being, prioritizing observation, presence over just ticking things off a list.
Right. Just being there.
And crucial to understanding that being is language, even basic phrases. Both Casey Bledsoe and James Huey highlight language learning as a powerful educational tool. It helps you grasp those cultural nuances that textbooks can't teach.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's essential for real communication, moving past just pointing and smiling, you know?
Definitely.
And remember the Italy discussion about all the different dialects? Standard Italian actually came from Florence, chosen by Dante. That shows how language itself is just soaked in cultural history, a living record.
Wow, I didn't know that about Dante.
Yeah. And Huey also reminds us that volunteering somewhere like Ingalls did in rural Guatemala offers tons of interaction and quality exposure. You actually become part of the community, not just an observer.
Okay, so that's a lot of how-tos. But let's be real, it's not always easy, is it? Especially traveling solo.
No, definitely not. It comes with challenges, language barriers, feeling lonely sometimes, unexpected problems.
Yoey Haddon, the solo traveler, she mentioned learning to communicate just through smiles and gestures. When the language barrier was huge, she found it surprisingly effective.
Right. It's a reminder that so much human connection is nonverbal. Universal cues can bridge a lot of gaps. And Haddon's experience really drives home that point about mindset. Your headspace can make or break a trip. She learned to stay present, celebrate small wins, like finding a decent hotel after a rough overnight train journey, and not dwell on mistakes.
That's really important advice. Celebrating small wins.
Absolutely. And prioritizing health, sleep, hydration. Burnout is real, and it can completely kill the immersive experience.
So true.
And interestingly, she also found that traveling solo made her appreciate traveling with a buddy even more when someone eventually joined her. So it's
Yeah.
about finding that balance between independence and shared experience, too.
Any other common hurdles?
Yeah.
The culture shock stuff mentioned practical things too, right?
Oh, yeah, small annoyances, like having to pay to use public bathrooms in some places,
Right.
or navigating different tipping cultures. Sometimes tips are expected, sometimes they're even refused. Little things that force you to constantly adapt.
Right. Okay, so our deep dive into Italy seems like a really great case study for pulling all this together.
It really is. You mentioned going to Rome, being impressed by the Colosseum, imagining the history. That's that powerful connection to the past, right? That moment of awe.
Yeah, definitely.
But then the Amalfi Coast, beautiful, undeniably, but also felt a bit too touristy. Packed buses, high prices. A real contrast to deeper immersion. It shows how even within one country, you need to look for where that genuine engagement is possible.
Good point. And Pompeii. That was incredible. A whole city, much bigger than you expect, just frozen in time by Vesuvius, seeing the streets, the houses, even ancient graffiti.
Didn't Pink Floyd play a concert there? In the empty Colosseum.
They did, famous concert film. But yeah, seeing Pompeii, it feels like stepping back in time, a very direct connection to ancient life.
And Naples itself, Napoli, what a place for immersion. Described as extremely extravagant and dynamic, it was its own capital for over 800 years, which explains why Neapolitans often identify as Neapolitan first, Italian second.
Right, and you had that personal connection there too.
Yeah, my own father being from Naples. And then getting that Facebook message from a cousin, connecting the dots to a farewell photo from 1955, taken at the very harbor where we later ate pizza overlooking Vesuvius. It just transforms a place from a destination into part of your story.
Wow, that's incredible. Finding your own unexpected link.
Exactly. Whether it's ancestral, like that, or just a shared human moment across time. And Naples is one of the oldest continuously inhabited urban areas in the world, people living there since the 9th century BC. Nearly 3,000 years. That depth of history, combined with personal connection, that's really what deep cultural exploration can offer.
So wrapping this up then,
Mm.
whether it's through sharing food from a street stall, getting lost down some alley, having a slightly awkward but genuine chat with a local, or even just saying ciao to a stranger on your morning walk,
Mm-hmm.
truly experiencing a culture seems to be about leaning into the unexpected, embracing the everyday stuff. It's in those small, real moments that the biggest understanding often happens, right? Turning a trip from just a vacation into something, well, more profound.
Absolutely. This whole journey isn't really just about collecting stamps in your passport. It's about collecting perspectives. It's about letting those differences genuinely reshape how you see the world.
Yeah.
So maybe the ultimate challenge isn't just finding a new place to go, but finding a new way to see the place you're already in, but through someone else's eyes. How could you, apply these ideas to your own local community? See it fresh. Discover that rich, messy, malleable culture that's probably lurking right between the famous spots right outside your own door.